Welcome to The Explainer, where we transform complex documents into clear, dynamic presentations. Today, we're going to talk about something it's the invisible force that really decides who wins and who loses wars: military logistics. Okay, let's dive right in. We've all heard that old saying, right? Amateurs talk strategy, professionals talk logistics. And General McConville really hits the nail on the head here. It's not just about having the coolest tanks or the fastest jets. It's about the just mind-bogglingly complex system that gets all that stuff and everything else to the right place at the right time. So, when we say military logistics, what are we actually talking about? Is it just, a bunch of trucks and some warehouses full of supplies? Or is there more to it? Well, yeah, there's a lot more to it. And the official doctrine actually gives us a really clear way to think about it. So, here's how the military thinks about it. It's a relationship between three things: ends, ways, and means. The ends, that's your goal, right? Winning the mission. The means, that's all the stuff you've got: the people, the equipment, the resources. But the magic, the really crucial part, is the ways. That's logistics. It's the action part, the planning and the doing, that turns a pile of resources into an actual victory. Right, so this whole idea of getting the ways right, it's not some new fancy concept. Military leaders have known for, centuries, that logistics isn't some side quest. It is the absolute foundation of everything they do. Look at Patton. He couldn't have said it any clearer. You can be the most brilliant tactician in the world, but if your tanks are out of gas and your troops are out of ammo, well, you're not going to be brilliant for very long. See, it's not just about having a big pile of stuff. It's a whole discipline, and it's guided by a set of core principles that make the entire system actually work. And these principles, they're all about striking a balance. It's a constant juggling act. You have to be responsive, get the right stuff to the right place at the right time. But you also have to practice economy. You can't just throw endless resources at a problem. You've got to be flexible enough to change on the fly, but also survivable so your supply lines don't get taken out. It's this whole philosophy that makes the system resilient and agile, not just big and clumsy. So, okay, who's actually doing all this? Who are the people making this happen? Well, the answer is it's a gigantic global network that makes most big corporations look tiny by comparison. Yeah, think of it like Amazon on steroids. It's a really good way to picture the Joint Logistics Enterprise, or the JLENT. But here's the critical difference. Amazon doesn't usually have to deliver packages while being shot at. The JLENT has to operate in the absolute worst, most hostile places on Earth. And, the packages are often things that go boom. And if they don't get there on time, people's lives are on the line. So the stakes are a little higher. And when you look at who's involved, the scale is just mind-blowing. You've got the top-level DoD leadership, of course. Then you have all the military services: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. But then you get these powerhouse support agencies. You've got the Defense Logistics Agency, the DLA, which is basically the military's worldwide supermarket. And then there's U.S. Transportation Command, or UTRANSCOM, which runs the entire global fleet of planes, ships, and trucks. And tying it all together is a massive web of commercial partners. Okay, so we know who's doing it. But what exactly do they do? Let's break down the core functions of logistics, and you're going to see it is way more than just driving stuff around. The official doctrine neatly packages all of this work into 7 core functions. You've got deployment and distribution. That's moving the forces to begin with. Then there's supply, maintenance, logistics services, all the way down to engineering and even joint health services. It covers literally everything needed to keep a force in the fight. Just to give you a sense of the scale here, let's take just one of those functions: supply. It is wild. The military categorizes everything into 10 different classes of supply. Look at this. You've got Class 1, which is food and water, the basics. Then you jump to Class 3, which is all your fuel and oil. Class 5 is all the ammo: bombs, missiles, you name it. And then you have Class 7, which is the big stuff itself: the tanks, the planes, the whole weapon systems. Now, what's interesting is that each branch takes this big joint framework and kind of customizes it. So if you look at the Navy and Marine Corps doctrine, for example, you'll see it mirrors the joint functions almost perfectly. The names might be a little different here and there to fit their world of ships and shores, but the core ideas, they're exactly the same. It's all about tailoring the concept to the environment. Okay, so who's actually doing all this work on the ground? Well, here is a number that might actually blow your mind. In a lot of modern military operations, commercial contractors, private companies, can make up more than half of the total logistics workforce in the area. And that's not some accident or a last-minute thing. It's a planned, integrated part of the system. It's a whole function called Operational Contract Support, or OCS. This is the official process for bringing in commercial companies to do everything from building bases to providing security. They are a fundamental piece of this whole enterprise. So you have this absolutely massive machine. How do you get it pointed in the right direction for a specific mission? Well, it's not chaos. It is an incredibly structured, step-by-step planning process. Admiral Spruance really nailed it. Logistics isn't something you figure out later. It's not the last chapter in the plan. It has to be baked in from the very beginning. It's the foundation. And this is how they do it. Planners go through these increasing levels of detail. They start out really broad with what's called a commander's estimate, just exploring different ways they could tackle the problem. From there, it gets more refined into a base plan, and then a concept plan. And all of that culminates in the O plan, the operation plan, which is this incredibly detailed, down-to-the-last-bullet script for the entire mission. But here's the most important part. At every single one of those steps, from the first rough idea to the final detailed plan, the logisticians are in the room asking one simple, vital question. Can we actually support this? It's called logistics supportability analysis, and it's basically a reality check. It makes sure that the plan's ambition doesn't get way ahead of what the supply chain can actually deliver. All right, so we've looked at the principles, the players, the whole process. What's the big takeaway here? What does it all mean? Well, first, logistics isn't just stuff. It's the whole system, the planning and execution that keeps a force going. Second, it's this huge global team effort between the military, government agencies, and private industry. Third, it's a superstructured discipline that turns big strategic ideas into actual tactical reality. And at the end of the day, logistics is what defines the art of the possible. It dictates what a military can and cannot do on the battlefield. And looking forward, that job is getting harder than ever. Lieutenant General Rainey puts it bluntly, these days the fight isn't just at the front. The entire supply chain, from a factory back home, to the port, to the truck driving to the base, every single link in that chain is now considered a target. And that leaves us with a pretty heavy question to think about for the future, doesn't it? As conflicts evolve, what's going to matter more? Having the most advanced weapon in the world, or having the unbreakable supply chain that can keep it fueled, armed, and in the fight? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.